Hey guys, I hope you're all doing really well. Today I'm really excited to be sharing the finale of my 1 month, 1 palette challenge, project, focus, whatever you want to call it. I was working on the Anastasia Modern Renaissance palette for the month of February, and I know it's the shortest month. That was part of the reason why I chose to kind of start this sort of challenge for February, but it also is a really great neutral palette, and I just felt like it's the kind of palette I could integrate into looks every single day that I was wearing makeup, whether I wanted to use this palette alone or in conjunction with other shadows from my collection. So I want to show you guys on the screen right now what the palette looked like when I first started the project. As you can see, the palette was definitely not untouched in my collection. There was a little bit of use within it, and now you'll see what it looks like at the end of the month, and there's definitely a lot more progress on the palette now, with a significant dips happening in a couple of shades. So as you saw in the close-up, I made really great progress on this palette. That was my goal for this month, was to really just be able to get my thorough thoughts on the palette, as well as to make some progress so that this wouldn't go unloved in my collection. And there's definitely pretty big dips in several shades, mainly Tempera, Vermeer, and Primavera. And as you guys may know, I was kind of mixing Vermeer and Primavera as a face highlight most days this month. I really love the result of that, and I'm not wearing those mixed together on my cheeks today, but I am wearing Primavera on its own on my cheeks as a highlight, and I'm wearing this palette all by itself on my eyes with only just some black liner in the outer corner. And this is a really good comprehensive palette that you can create a full look with no matter what. And I really do suggest that if you guys do own this palette, to try those two shadows out as highlighters, because they're absolutely beautiful. And I've got some obvious wear happening in Golden Ochre, Burnt Orange, Buon Fresco, Warm Taupe, and Cypress Umber. And then the brighter shades, which are Red Ochre, Venetian Red, Love Letter, and Real Gar, I don't think you can see as much significant progress. I didn't reach for Venetian Red. I think one time I used it ever. And Real Gar I used actually quite a lot, but it doesn't look like there's much progress that happened on it. But I reached for that shade quite a lot. I really did think that that is the most flattering shade in this palette on my personal complexion. I really like the way that that color looks on me personally. Orange is my favorite color to wear as eyeshadow anyway. But as a whole, I definitely was able to use this palette no matter what look I was creating. There was always some way that I could integrate this palette. Burnt Orange is a beautiful transition shade for the more warm tone looks that I was creating, whereas Warm Taupe is a little bit of a nice way to tie this palette into cooler toned looks that I was using or doing over the month. So beautiful, beautiful palette. I do personally feel like the mattes kind of bleed into one another and just can become the same sort of shade. I know I haven't heard anyone else say that. I don't know if that is a unpopular opinion, but if I'm doing an all matte look with this palette, I just feel like it always kind of looks the same. Like, I have Red Ochre in my outer corner today. I have Cypress Umber, like, just to deepen up the very edge of that. And I've got Warm Taupe and then Tempera on, like, the rest of the lid. And I just feel like I created this exact look so many times this month, whether I was using Red Ochre or I was using Cypress Umber alone, or I was even using Love Letter. This kind of look always came out. It just became the same, even when applied differently, I guess. Like, does that make any sense? I don't really know, but I just found that even though I tried to do different techniques and different color combinations with this palette, they kind of all still felt the same. And I know that is probably not a very nice opinion for me to have. I still love it. I still think it's beautiful. I really do think that this is a gorgeous palette, but I think that there are a couple redundant shades that are in here, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like Raw Sienna, Burnt Orange, and Golden Ochre. I feel like you could just have 2 out of those 3 shades and that would suffice perfectly fine. And then with Red Ochre and Venetian Red or Love Letter, like, you could have 2 out of those 3 shades as well, and they would suffice as well. I did try to create several cool tone looks with this palette, which was a challenge, but Buon Fresco leans very cool in my personal opinion, as well as Warm Taupe can lean a little bit on either side depending on how you pair it. So I did create a couple cooler sorts of looks with this palette, but I'm definitely drawn to creating warmer tone looks with this palette. So I'll show you guys a couple of my favorite looks that I created this past month with this palette. As you can see here, the looks aren't all that different tonally, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I did try different placements, I tried different color combinations, and I still feel like I wasn't able to get like a vast array of different looks by using this palette alone. I wanted to feature looks where I primarily use just this palette. So maybe I'm just like projecting that I felt like the looks were the same. Let me know what you guys think about the looks, but I feel like maybe I just got bored of using this palette for the full month. Maybe that's just a challenge that doesn't make sense for me personally, because I kind of felt like I was getting a little bit in a rut reaching for the same shades every single day. It is a beautiful palette. I do not discredit the palette whatsoever for that. I just feel like, yeah, maybe I was a little bit bored. But it is a phenomenal palette in terms of color scheme. If you love warms and neutrals, then this is a great palette. I do think the quality is there for sure. I never had an issue with blending or with application. I feel like this palette definitely does a lot of the work for you. And I feel like it is a really good value in terms of the price point, because you get 14 shades, although like I said, I'd probably do away with like at least 2 of the shades. I think that they're a little bit repetitive. And finally, I do think that it is a good value for your money. You are paying $55 for 14 shades, although like I said, I think maybe 2 of those shades are a little bit redundant, but regardless, 14 shades for $55 works out to under $4 a pan. So I am going to take a break from doing a 1 month 1 palette for the month of March. I do want to take a little bit of a pause, but this was an amazing learning experience. I had so much fun playing with this palette. So yeah, that's absolutely everything for today's video. I hope that that video was at least a little bit comprehensible and understandable. Let me know for my future like 2 weeks 1 palette or 1 month 1 palette videos if you guys have like a different kind of format that you'd like to see, or different sorts of points that you'd like to hear about from the palette. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I hope that this was a little bit of fun for you guys to see, and thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!